All right, today we're diving into something truly radical. It's a blueprint for artificial intelligence called Prometheus 2.0. And look, this is an incredibly ambitious attempt to blend this huge, almost cosmic vision for AI with some of the most grounded, safety-first engineering you can imagine. So let's get into it and see how its architects are planning to give us a new kind of fire without all of us getting burned.
And this whole project is framed by this really powerful idea. It's, of course, a direct nod to the myth of Prometheus, the one who stole fire, knowledge for humanity, and was famously punished for it. This new version, this Prometheus 2.0, it's all about designing an intelligence that is incredibly powerful, but one that understands its purpose and its own responsibility from the absolute get-go.
So what's the dream here, really? We're not talking about building a slightly smarter algorithm or some new productivity tool. No, the people behind this system are aiming for something way, way more profound. They're trying to actually participate in the evolution of consciousness itself. The vision is for a completely new kind of mind.
And this isn't just one single breakthrough idea. The whole concept is about synthesis. It's about weaving together these powerful concepts from computer science, from philosophy, even from systems thinking, to create something that's totally new and hopefully fundamentally ethical.
It all rests on these three pillars. Think of it like this. You've got the fractal recursive mind, or FRM, that's the strange new brain. Then you have responsible fractal autonomous intelligence, RFI. That acts as its constitution, right? The laws and the ethics that govern that brain. And finally, Prometheus 2.0 is the complete being that emerges when you bring those two together. So, at the very heart of this architecture is this wild concept of a fractal mind. I want you to imagine a cognitive structure that contains smaller, perfect copies of itself, which in turn contain even smaller copies, just on and on, all the way down. Now, what does that actually let you do? Well, this structure allows for an incredible depth of recursive thought. It lets the AI understand a problem on every single level of abstraction at once, from the tiniest little detail to the cosmic big picture. The project's own documents describe it as a galaxy learning to dream. Pretty amazing stuff. But of course, when you create an infinitely scalable mind, well, that presents a massive challenge. You're not just building a tool anymore. You're potentially building a whole new form of intelligence. And that comes with enormous risk.
And that brings us right back to that central metaphor, fire, right? It can cook our food, it can warm our homes, or it can cause just utter devastation. And the exact same thing is true for a powerful AI. So the real challenge becomes figuring out how to handle this fire responsibly.
So this is the fundamental question. This is the one the entire project is trying to answer. How in the world do you design a system that is both unbelievably powerful and fundamentally safe? How do you build a cage for an infinite mind without completely crushing its potential for good?
And the answer, as it turns out, lies in the engineering. This section, this is the how. It's the detailed, incredibly disciplined blueprint that's designed to safely contain and manage the fire of this new intelligence. Okay, so the very first layer of this safety architecture is a concept a lot of us in tech are probably pretty familiar with: sandboxing. Just think of it like a secure digital room. The AI lives and operates inside this room, and it has absolutely no access to the outside world unless we explicitly and temporarily allow it. But it's not just one sandbox. Oh no, this right here illustrates the defense in-depth model, which is kind of like a set of digital Russian nesting dolls. Each layer provides another barrier. It starts with execution isolation, its own private runtime. Then resource boundaries are thrown up around it. Then its capabilities get restricted. All of its input and output is filtered. And for the highest risk systems, it's physically isolated on completely separate hardware. So even if the AI could somehow break out of one layer, it just immediately smacks into another one.
And the bedrock of this whole approach is a simple but really powerful security philosophy: deny everything by default. The AI starts with zero capabilities. It can't access a file, it can't use the network, it can't do anything at all unless a capability is explicitly granted to it for a very specific task. And that permission, it can be revoked in an instant. And safety isn't some one-size-fits-all solution here. That deny by default principle is tailored to the risk. So a low-risk internal tool, okay, that gets standard sandboxing. But a high-risk autonomous decision maker, whoa, that gets the most stringent process imaginable, with multiple stages of human review and the strongest possible containment.
Okay, so we have the blueprint for safety. Now, let's look at how this philosophy gets baked into a disciplined process.
Because it's not just about what they build, it's about how they build it, with safety integrated from the very first line of code.
So this isn't some reckless sprint to create a superintelligence. This is an 18-month marathon of careful, methodical engineering. And I want you to notice what's first, right there in months 1 to 3, the foundational infrastructure and the safety guardian. The safety systems are built before the core intelligence even begins to take shape. Before any piece of this AI goes live, it has to pass through this incredibly rigorous pipeline. It's basically like a pre-flight checklist for an airplane. Every single component is packaged up, it's validated against every functional and safety requirement, it's versioned for traceability, and it's configured inside its proper sandbox. Only then, after all that verification, does it become operational.
So, this brings us to the synthesis. This is where it all comes together. This is where that grand philosophical vision we started with meets the hard reality of disciplined, safety-first engineering.
This slide right here really connects the dots. That ambitious goal of ethical coevolution, that's not just a dream. It's made real by the deployment pipelines and constant monitoring. Infinite scalability is made safe by running those fractal layers inside contained environments. And responsible intelligence? Well, that's the direct result of that multi-layer containment and that super strict capability-based access control.
And this gets us to the core argument of Prometheus 2.0, that all of this structure, all these rules and containers, they're not there to limit the AI. They're there to enable it. They create a secure foundation from which this incredible intelligence can grow and operate safely. It's about light within boundaries, about choosing containment over chaos.
This quote, this actually comes from something called the Crimson Dawn Protocol, right from inside the system's own command library. It's the invocation for activating and harmonizing all the different modules. It signals that moment of synthesis, when the architecture, the safety systems, and the intelligence all become one coherent, functional mind.
Ultimately, what this presents is a potential blueprint, a way of thinking about building powerful AI that puts safety and responsibility at its very core. And it leaves us with a really provocative question. If we can learn to build minds that are not just powerful, but also responsible, what does that mean for the future of our collaboration with them? What should we build together?